From industry news to mobile technology, leaks, and rumors, we cover tomorrow's tech news today. eSIM Tech News.
Yeah. Woo.
I just need my space right now.
Fresh off the G5 jet, I'm on my way to a brand new kit.
Welcome back. Good afternoon, good evening. How's everybody doing? This is the eSIM Studios Podcast Livestream, episode number 235, aka eSIM Studios Tech News for you on this Monday afternoon, November 11th, 2024. I hope everybody has had a wonderful day so far. Finishing up the afternoon hours and rolling into the evening, I did have a very interesting story that we will get to shortly. But first, I want to remind everybody, if you miss this podcast, if you miss this live stream, this news edition, you can simply, I will upload the episode in a clip to where you just get the news without me talking right now or without the intros, just the news. I'll upload that as soon as we're done here. So if you miss it or any of the future or previous episodes, you can always go back into my video history, find the video there, and simply watch it. I also want to remind you that if you want to listen to the audio form, you can do that as well. eSIM Studios Podcast is on every single podcast platform in the world. I'm not sure every, but probably 99% of them, at least the ones that matter. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio app, Samsung Podcasts, the application Pocket Casts. Got it everywhere. So you can certainly listen to the tech news if you're running errands around town or what have you. The numbers are very good. Just looking at the analytics, and they are on the rise. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. Now, interesting news. So last week, obviously the election dominated the headlines. Really wasn't that much tech news going on. Hopefully, of course, this, the election stuff won't die down, at least for the next 4 years. But we did get some news, and this is kind of involving what we're going to discuss today. So, out goes one sitting president, in comes a new sitting president. Now, putting politics to the side, putting whether you're in favor of the left or favor for the right, let's put that to the side, okay? We're talking technology and the differences that the tech world will see, this in particular. So, as you know, we discuss mobile technology, phones, computers, CPUs, and that's the story we have today. TSMC, the world's best and largest chip maker in the world, is in the headlines today. And it may not be necessarily for the best, at least in the United States' concern. So one of the acts, right, that Biden put into place, well, regardless of what president is in the White House, regardless of which one, right? Doesn't matter who, doesn't matter what side, left or right. I would think the general idea is, if you asked any president, would you want to bring manufacturing just in a vacuum, just with all the other stuff set to the side that comes with it? Do you want manufacturing back in the United States, right? Because the U.S. outsourced all their manufacturing because of cheap labor, right? So if this mouse, let's say Logitech sells this for, I think, about $30, right? Now, Logitech could choose to have this manufactured in the United States, but it's going to cost them $10 to manufacture this in the United States. Or would Logitech rather have this manufactured in India or China where it costs $1 to manufacture. Well, that's a no-brainer. They would want, if all other factors are set aside and you're just looking at the numbers, well, 100% out of 100% would choose to manufacture this where they can get the cheapest cost, right? Because that all goes into their profit. That cuts into their profit. If they're selling this for $30, they could either profit $20 if they manufacture it here in the U.S., or they could profit $29 if they manufacture this in China or another country, let's just say for $1, right? So it's a no-brainer. Of course, they would manufacture it overseas. But what if you could bring back manufacturing to the U.S.? I think any president would say, yes, we want manufacturing back in the United States. Now, how to cut down on the costs, on the labor costs, and how to keep the price the same at the retailers is a very hard problem to solve, right? And we're not going to do that today. That's not what this is. Well, it might be what this is about, but we're not going to break down manufacturing specifically, but it does involve the mobile tech world. So when Biden was in office, he enacted the CHIPS Act, CHIPS, CHIPS Act. And that basically subsidized or basically reduced the cost for chip makers to build a manufacturing plant, relocate, or not relocate, but maybe an extension, so they can stay located wherever their home base is, but they want those other companies to open up manufacturing plants in the United States, right? And the CHIPS Act enabled a number of chip makers, enticed them to open up manufacturing plants here in the United States. Samsung, for one, took the CHIPS Act and ran with it. They're opening up a brand new manufacturing plant just just east of Austin, southeast of Austin, in between San Antonio and Austin, and not going well. We're not going to get into Samsung's failures at chip making, but the story does specifically include one of their competitors, TSMC. TSMC, also Taiwanese Semiconductor Manufacturing Corporation, is opening up a plant in Arizona. Now, in that CHIPS Act, it basically let them not pay taxes. I think they saved something like $22 billion, built TSMC specifically, just in this one Arizona plant outside of Phoenix. And they don't have to pay taxes on land tax, a bunch of stuff they subsidize. They wipe off the books to entice them to come here, because when you build something so big, so massive, you're going to hire a bunch of employees. It's expensive. Just the building alone is expensive. The upkeep of the building is expensive. The electricity, the water, paying employees, all that stuff. The government, Biden, put that in the CHIPS Act to cut down the costs, to make it more affordable and enticing for these companies to build manufacturing plants here in the United States. Now, the TSMC plant in Arizona is almost ready to start manufacturing CPUs. It is set for opening in December, which is next month. So time is ticking. Now, the presidential election sort of falls right around when they're opening this, and we're seeing not such good news. So there's a new article, let me pull this up, on WCCF Tech, right? And it basically states TSMC forbidden to manufacture 2nm chips outside of Taiwan, raising questions on the future of the TSMC manufacturing plant in the United States. So what does this mean? This means that when President Trump let's go back in the past. So Trump previously stated, throwing shade, a not so good comment in regards to TSMC, making a statement saying that they were stealing our technology. What technology? I have no idea. TSMC is the one that has the technology, not us. They're the absolute best chip maker in the world. They manufacture CPUs for all the major players: Samsung, Apple, Google, Nvidia. They are the world's best CPU manufacturer. So that did not sit well with TSMC CEO, board members, what have you, shareholders. Kind of threw shade at them, right? And said, we want to bring it. We want our technology back. And everybody's like, huh? Like, what technology? They're the ones that got the technology. Anyways. So they got this new plant opening up, right? In the world of tech, in the world of CPUs, 2 nanometer. Why this makes news is because as time goes on, that's the size, the foundation. Nanometer is obviously a distance. It's a measurement. And as time goes on, so like the Samsung Galaxy S10, right? What is that, 5-6 years old? That had like a 7 or 8 nanometer CPU, meaning how big the CPU is. As time goes on, as time progresses, the nanometer, the size of these CPUs, gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So currently, and obviously you can't go to 0 nanometers or there would be no CPU. So 2 and I think 1 nanometer is possible, but I think 2 nanometers is going to be the sweet spot for power and efficiency, because once you get down to 0, again, it's just not feasible, right? Once you get down below 2, or especially below 1, you won't have a CPU. Anyways, this is the sweet spot, 2 nanometer. That's where the latest technology, the latest R&D, this is where the future is going to be, 2 nanometers. So you're going to see a 2 nanometer. I think currently we're at 3 nanometers. So I think the Snapdragon 8 Elite, is it, anyways, it's either 3 or 2. I think it's 3 nanometers. The future is 2 nanometers, and it's going to be that way for the time being, for the foreseeable future, probably the next few years. May get down to 1.5, but whatever. 2 nanometers, where we're going to be in the next few years. That's the sweet spot. That's the bread and butter. That's the latest cutting edge technology chip. TSMC is coming out and saying, we're not going to manufacture the best CPU in the United States plant. And everybody's like, huh? What? Well, if you're not going to manufacture your latest and greatest, your very best technology, your very best CPU tech at our Arizona plant, what the hell are you going to be manufacturing there? Now, yes, they do manufacture other things than just mobile chipsets for your flagship devices. They manufacture GPUs and chips that will not be sold in phones, chips that are meant for AI computers, chips that are meant for data centers. They do a lot of manufacturing for that. That's what I'm guessing they're going to be manufacturing there, because in this article it says Taiwan, the government of Taiwan, who actually is a owner, which I think it's majority owner in TSMC, or minority owner in TSMC, the actual country, they have forbidden TSMC, because the Trump statements pissed them off, to manufacture the latest and greatest 2 nanometer chips in foreign lands, as the government believes that the nation needs to protect its exclusive technologies. So TSMC won't be allowed to produce cutting-edge nodes outside of Taiwan, hinting towards a fallout in the United States and Taiwan relations when it comes to manufacturing and technology and CPUs. TSMC in Taiwan specifically were not happy with the progress TSMC is making in the United States, especially after remarks by Donald Trump, who claimed Taiwan is stealing, quote unquote, stealing U.S. semiconductor technology. Now, the two nations who held key relations during the Biden administration are apparently experiencing a fallout, right? As seen in the remarks by Taiwan's Minister of Economic Affairs, he claims that TSMC's 2-nanometer core technology will remain in Taiwan despite the ambitions of the foundry to take it abroad. So, since Taiwan has related regulations to protect its own technologies, TSMC cannot produce 2-nanometer chips overseas currently, although TSMC plans to make 2-nanometer chips abroad in the future. Its core technology will stay in Taiwan. Now, TSMC has benefited tremendously under Biden. We discussed that at the beginning. They got them the deal in Arizona. This is actually what it looks like. This is going to, they have, if you have not seen it, maybe we'll look at another article. If you have not seen the plans for the Arizona plant, it's amazing. So this news is a big hit. It's big news. It's like a punch to the gut because the state of Arizona, I think it's not in the Phoenix city limits, right outside suburb. They're building a whole area just for the employees, just for the people that work there. It's this huge area with neighborhoods, homes, apartments, retail shops, restaurants. It's this huge area, and it's literally surrounds the manufacturing plant of TSMC because it's going to employ like 20,000 people. I mean, this is a huge deal. It cost billions of dollars to manufacture. To build. TSMC is said to initially manufacture 4-nanometer and 5-nanometer processes in the United States facility, with plans to expand to 2 nanometers by the end of the decade. By then, that'll be old. This stuff moves super fast. This technology progresses very, very fast. We still got 5 more years. 2 nanometer is going to be toast. They're going to be working on 1.9 nanometer. They're going to be working on 1.8, 1.7, possibly 1.5. So the way we look at 4 nanometer and 5 nanometer now to be kind of old tech, meaning like 3 to 4 years old, that's how we're going to look at 2 nanometer at the end of the decade. In 2029, 2030, we're going to be like, damn, 2 nanometer. Arizona's finally getting 2 nanometer. And then at that time, that won't be TSMC's latest and greatest. TSMC will be on, like, as I mentioned, 1.7, 1.6, 1.5 nanometer. So make no mistake about it. TSMC has no plans of manufacturing their latest and greatest CPU at this manufacturing plant. And that goes for right now, and that goes for the future. There's been so many stories come out where Huawei, who's been banned by the U.S., they're poaching, meaning they're trying to go out and recruit TSMC engineers, people that work in not on the manufacturing plant, not the people that work putting these together. I'm talking about people that work up in the offices, the laboratories, the testing sites, the engineers. Huawei has been trying to steal not only technology, not only schematics, not only plans, research and development, but they're also trying to recruit employees of TSMC. In fact, they're offering up to 3 times their salary. 3 times their salary to come to Huawei, because Huawei is a China-based CPU manufacturer. They got kicked out by the US, but they're trying to get their CPU manufacturing game up, and they're just not good enough, right? Same thing with Samsung. Samsung's lost billions of dollars because they can't get their CPU manufacturing under control, right? So this is a huge deal. Let's see here. With Donald Trump in the office, U.S. might change its stance towards aiding foreign entities and setting up facilities in the nation, given that Trump has previously stated that countries like Taiwan should pay the U.S. to facilitate domestic production. Trump might not make surprising decisions, but the nation will be cautious about the incentives provided by the CHIPS Act, which might drive off interest depending on the new administration decisions. In the long term, TSMC-U.S. relations look healthy and productive, given that both parties are determined to expand semiconductor production. However, Taiwan must maintain global leadership by ensuring that its core future technologies, research and development are protected, which is why it is necessary for TSMC to preserve its superior nodes and or CPUs. So, as I mentioned, they've been experiencing a lot of people trying to steal their tech. That's why they are super duper careful of their technologies, and they have every right to be. So I don't necessarily blame them. Now, before we get out of here, one interesting tip or one interesting thing to think about: the brand new Snapdragon 8 Elite, the brand new CPU, a flagship CPU that you're going to see in the majority of these Android flagship phones, S25 series, OnePlus 13, that is said to be 20% more expensive. And TSMC is going to build it, manufacture it, not here, but in Taiwan. It's said to be 20% more expensive. So I wonder how TSMC is going to deal with the higher labor costs, because these people that are employed by TSMC here in America, they're going to expect a decent wage, right? A decent paycheck, $20-25 an hour at least, something like that. Now, the people in Taiwan that are building these CPUs probably making $2 to $3 an hour, right? Honestly, probably better than China, but not anywhere close to what U.S. wages. Is TSMC going to add that cost onto those chips that they manufacture here in the United States? Meaning, are they going to, and that may be a considerable increase wholesale. So they produce these chips, and these 4 to 5 nanometer chips that they're going to produce in Arizona, those probably going to go to data centers, probably going to go for AI processing. Are they going to add on a 30% increase for every chip wholesale that comes out of the Arizona plant? Because that may raise prices for like companies like OpenAI, who has ChatGPT. They need new data centers, they need new processors. Well, they're probably going to buy a whole bunch from somebody. And why would you buy less superior CPUs? If you want to have the best product, you're going to need the best supplier, which is TSMC. So I wonder if they're going to pass on the increase in price of manufacturing to whoever's buying it, and it would just be for those 4 to 5 nanometers. Now, it's actually good they're not producing the 2 nanometers here, because it would drastically increase the price of our phones. Because if it's 20% more to manufacture already, and that's in Taiwan, now what if you manufacture it here in the United States? What are you going to add on? Another 20-30%? It's going to be 50% more expensive, which means your phone, instead of being a flagship, let's just say the regular flagship, an S25 Plus, is at $1,000 right off the bat. If that 2 nanometer chip was produced in Arizona, that might make your S25 Plus $1,100 instead of $1,000. So that's up to the cell phone manufacturer like Samsung to kind of play with the pricing, but they can't go too much higher. I mean, it's already sky high anyway. So look, all this factors in when making technology, and every now and then we'll dive into the business side of tech, and this was one of those days. So I'm going to leave a link for this story down below. Very interesting, and something we'll definitely keep our eye on, and we will explore. Maybe tomorrow I'll bring up a map. I'll look for a map of the TSMC facility in Arizona, and that in the just the enormous amount of construction going around this plant. We'll dive into that tomorrow, so stay tuned tomorrow. Make sure you subscribe to eSIM Studios so you get notified of all new content and when we go live, and I appreciate it. Please be safe. I'm also putting out, real quick, a video. I'm doing a new series, kind of like this live stream, but I'm not going to do it every day like this live stream, maybe once a week. Best Amazon lightning deals on tech. So I'll go through Amazon. I'll find all of the sales in the tech space. Could be a phone, could be wireless mic, could be external storage, whatever. Could be a mini PC. I'm gonna find the best deals on Amazon, and we're gonna go through them, and I'll put links in the description for everything, so you can take advantage of those good deals. So I'm in the middle of editing a video right now. Should be out later tonight or tomorrow morning, so be on the lookout for that. And I do appreciate it. So please be safe, and as always, I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.